Okay, let's go.
The story of a 1956 Lincoln wheat penny. In the bustling heart of mid-20th century America, the year was 1956. The United States was experiencing a time of confidence, optimism, and rapid growth. Factories hummed with productivity. Families bought new cars, televisions, and homes, and the American economy surged forward in the post-World War II boom. Amid this backdrop of prosperity, the U.S. Mint continued producing the small, yet enduring symbol of American history, the Lincoln wheat penny. The 1956 wheat penny was more than just a copper coin. It was a continuation of a tradition that had begun in 1909, when the U.S. Mint first honored President Abraham Lincoln on the nation's smallest denomination. This decision, radical for its time, broke with the convention of using symbolic figures such as liberty and instead placed a real person on an everyday coin. Victor David Brenner, the designer, created a bold portrait of Lincoln for the obverse, while the reverse carried a design that symbolized America's agricultural strength. Two graceful wheat stalks, framing the words 1 cent and United States of America. For nearly half a century, this design would accompany Americans through times of prosperity, struggle, and change. By 1956, the wheat penny had already become a familiar sight in the pockets of Americans. The coin had circulated during the Great Depression, in the hands of soldiers and families during World War II, and now it carried forward into an era defined by innovation and economic confidence. But this particular year's penny would be part of the final chapter of the wheat cent story, since just 3 years later, in 1959, the design would be replaced with the Lincoln Memorial reverse, marking the end of an era. A nation minting in billions. The production numbers for the 1956 penny tell a story of a country on the rise. At the Philadelphia Mint, more than 420 million coins were struck, each without a mint mark. At the Denver Mint, why it remains special. The 1958 penny is a coin of endings and beginnings. It was the final year of the wheat design, the farewell to a symbol that had carried Americans through world wars, depressions, and the boom years of the 1950s. In its place, the Lincoln Memorial reverse would soon rise, ushering in a new chapter for America's most humble coin. It is also a coin of extremes. On one hand, it is among the most common wheat pennies, easy to find in circulation well into the 1970s, and even today in old change jars. On the other hand, the double-die obverse makes it one of the most valuable pennies in existence. No other year captures the full spectrum of numismatics, common and legendary, ordinary and extraordinary, quite like 1958. Sparkles in the end. So, when you hold a 1958 Lincoln wheat penny, you are not just holding a cent. You are holding the last whisper of an era, a coin that closed the door on nearly 50 years of the wheat reverse. For most, it remains an inexpensive keepsake of history, but for a lucky few who discover the double die, it is a treasure worth a fortune. The 1958 wheat penny reminds us that even the smallest, most ordinary object in our pockets can carry a story of change, rarity, and legacy. It was the end of the wheat, the dawn of the memorial, and in the heart of collectors, it will always remain a legend. The output was even more staggering. Over 1 billion coins, making the 1956 deemed one of the most common wheat pennies ever produced. Combined, the mintage exceeded 1.5 billion pennies, flooding the economy with copper cents. To put that into perspective, nearly every American family at the time would have handled a 1956 wheat penny in some form, whether it's change from the corner store, dropped into a child's piggy bank, or slipped into a church collection plate on Sunday morning. These coins were not rare treasures when they were minted. They were the everyday lifeblood of commerce. Yet, ironically, it is this very abundance that makes pristine examples and error coins so highly prized by collectors today. The beauty in the details. Each 1956 penny bore the face of Abraham Lincoln, facing right, his expression calm but resolute. To his left, the word liberty reminded Americans of the values for which he had fought. To his right, The date 1956 was a reminder of the present year, marking it in the endless march of time. Above him, the words "In God We Trust" captured the nation's guiding principle during the Cold War era, when faith and patriotism were deeply intertwined. On the reverse, the two wheat stalks stood tall like sentinels, framing the bold letters "1 cent" at the center. This agricultural imagery was more than decorative. It honored the foundation of America's prosperity, the farmers whose hard work fed the nation and sustained its growth. Surrounding the design were the words "United States of America" and the proud Latin motto "E pluribus unum," meaning "out of many one." Each coin, in its small way, was both art and national symbol. The composition of a classic. The coin itself was struck in the traditional 95% copper alloy that had been used since the early 20th century, combined with 5% tin and zinc for strength. Weighing 3.11 grams and measuring 19 millimeters in diameter, the penny was small yet enduring. Its plain edge carried no ornamentation, but its surface was unmistakably American. By the mid-1950s, this composition was already a relic of the past in some respects. Just over a decade earlier, in 1943, the mint had been forced to strike pennies in steel, plated with zinc, due to the wartime need for copper in ammunition and communications. By 1956, however, the nation had returned to copper coinage, and these wheat pennies carried with them a sense of stability after the turbulence of the war years. Value then and now. When it was first minted, the 1956 penny was, of course, worth exactly 1 cent, a tiny coin that might buy a piece of candy, a newspaper, or go toward a gallon of gasoline. But today, collectors see these coins differently. Because more than 1.5 billion were struck, most 1956 pennies remain very common in circulated condition. A worn example found in change is typically worth only 2 to 5 cents, just a small multiple of its face value. However, the story changes when you look at well-preserved examples. In uncirculated condition, a 1956 wheat penny might bring $1 to $5, while gem-quality coins graded MS, 65, or higher can command $15 to $50 or more. The real prizes, though, are the proof coins struck in Philadelphia as part of special collector sets. These proofs, with their mirrored fields and sharp details, can range from $50 to several $100s, depending on quality and cameo contrast. When mistakes become treasures. Like all coins, the 1956 wheat penny was not immune to minting errors, and it is here that true rarities are found. Collectors search eagerly for varieties such as double die obverse, DDO coins where the date or lettering shows clear doubling, a striking and valuable mistake. BI error, a small die break between the letters B and E in Liberty, giving the illusion of an extra I. This quirky flaw is a favorite among wheat penny enthusiasts. Repunched mint marks, RPMs, especially on 1956 D coins, where the D mint mark was struck more than once. Off-center strikes and die cracks. Rare, but collectible mistakes that make each coin unique. These errors, depending on their visibility and condition, can sell for anything from a few dollars to several hundred, turning an ordinary penny into a prize collectible. A gateway coin for collectors. For many numismatists, the 1956 wheat penny serves as a gateway into the fascinating world of coin collecting. Its abundance makes it accessible to beginners, while its varieties, proofs, and high-grade examples offer challenges for advanced collectors. Most importantly, it carries the weight of history. It is one of the last 3 years of the wheat cent design, a closing chapter before the mint transition to the Lincoln Memorial Reverse in 1959. To hold a 1956 penny today is to hold a piece of that transition, a copper link between the America of the 1930s and 1940s and the America of the 1960s and beyond. The final word. The 1956 Lincoln wheat penny may not be rare in sheer numbers, but its story is woven into the fabric of American history. Born in an era of post-war optimism, struck in the billions, and carried in the pockets of everyday Americans, it remains a humble yet enduring piece of numismatic heritage. For collectors, It is both a common coin and a special one. Common in numbers, yet special in what it represents. The final years of the classic wheat design, the artistry of Victor David Brenner, and the resilience of Abraham Lincoln's legacy. In the end, the 1956 wheat penny reminds us that even the smallest coin can tell a grand story of history, design, economy, and the enduring spirit of a nation.